Hi, my name is Laura Buchholz and I'm with the School of Technology, Art and Design. I'm a construction management faculty on campus here at Bemidji State, and I am with my colleague,
Dr. Pete Johnson. I'm the Career and Technical Education professor here on campus and excited about our new program.
Yeah, so we're here to talk to you about our new Career and Tech Ed program. Pete, what makes Bemidji State's CTE program unique in Minnesota?
What makes our program unique is we are the only four-year college institution that offers this program. It's a new program that meets numerous pathways. Basically anybody that wants to be a high school teacher, career and technical education teacher. Right now we've got approved for construction and communications. We're looking to add more areas as we go. Being the only college in Minnesota that offers it, we're the only ones that provide a pathway to complete licensure through a four-way university.
And how does this program support students that want to start early, even in high school?
In developing this program, we made sure to create pathways where students can start these classes in high school, whether it's through PSEO, dual enrollment programs, and that helps high school students get a little bit early jump on it. Classes are really leadership driven, so even if you decided not to choose a career in career and technical education, it does translate into work-based learning and some of the other areas where leadership is important, and these soft skills that are developed just for communication and working with other people, and really provides a valuable base towards it. The big picture too is there's a huge shortage of teachers. There's a huge shortage of career and technical education teachers in the state and across the country. And we need to have viable, well-trained teachers to be able to meet the needs of these students and bring the skills needed for these programs. So that's what's unique about it. That's how we support our students and getting them the skills they need to be teachers, but we're also training the teachers to have the skills to take it out and go in to meet the industry needs. And there's a huge need for hands-on skilled laborers in our country.
Yeah. And let's focus on that shortage of teachers, because not only does it promote our new program, teachers coming in without licensure, starting from scratch, but what about teachers that are already in the field under a variance or maybe an emergency license, or community members that are interested? How could it support them?
So yes, the state of Minnesota has around 900 teachers currently teaching on a variance or out-of-field position. And one of the requirements to maintain a temporary license is to be enrolled in a program working towards fulfilling the degree or the requirements for licensure by PELSB. Our program is approved by PELSB, the licensing board in Minnesota, and it allows them to continue to take classes while they're teaching. We set up our classes online so that it doesn't interrupt the regular flow of the daily teacher who's busy planning classes and the curriculum that go along with it. So by offering these classes online and remotely, we can meet these teachers' needs as students wherever they're at. The classes are nice in the fact that they are developed. These new teachers, because a lot of them are coming from industry with the industry skills, but they have no background in teaching except for, I went to high school. So it's really nice to step into a program that helps teachers go as they're doing it. We help them, with the different curriculum plans and the way to plan it, lesson plans, and the skills needed to be a teacher, along with meeting important things along the way too, because there's special ed requirements and things that they don't necessarily get and know about just walking in from industry, which we provide through these classes.
Let's focus on the two programs that we are currently offering here at Bemidji State, construction and communication technology. How do they fit into our Minnesota workforce needs and our local needs here in our community?
CTE in the state of Minnesota has different career pathways. The two areas that we're approved to teach in right now and prepare teachers are constructions and communication. Locally, they're a huge area of need. As we continue the building processes and the building trades in the area, construction is always important. We need to train students in how to do this process correctly to get them to the tech schools or even into industry right out of high school. Focusing on construction was one of the areas that it feeds really any community. The need for housing is a growing need across the state. Communications it covers a wide variety. I should back up and say, the one thing about these career pathways is there are so many careers hidden underneath each of these. These are big areas. When we start looking at manufacturing, construction, communications, each one of these areas, actually, they've tucked engineering under. And so when you look at these pathways to possibly teach, you could be a CAD teacher teaching in each one of these areas. You could be an engineering teacher teaching in one of these areas. And so that's kind of how, being construction and communication right now, we can provide pathways to teaching in multiple courses in multiple areas. And they all line up with industry. One of the key pieces to Minnesota CTE is they have to have industry experience. So whether they're coming out of high school and they don't have that piece yet, we get them working with companies, local companies, that help them develop the skills they would need to take to the classroom. That also helps them form advisory boards and stuff that's important for feeding your curriculum and how to design it. So we help piece these all together as they get ready to be teachers and take over programs, whether it's construction or communication. When you start thinking about communication in the arts, it's advertising, broadcasting, all the posters, all the design work that goes into it. And that really echoes across whether local construction and advertising. And so they really interfeed each other. And starting out with construction and communication is a real nice avenue to feed these other areas as we look to introduce other areas in manufacturing, transportation, and if you look at the career wheel that Minnesota provides.
Peter, what benefits do schools and students gain by having properly licensed CTE teachers?
I kind of hinted this earlier. Becoming a teacher is more than just we went to high school and I can handle teaching. There's a huge aspect to all the educational requirements, the special ed requirements, and the skills to learning to communicate and work with students and keep them going in a positive direction. What's really beneficial for the students and for the school even is a fully licensed CTE instructor qualifies for Perkins funding. Perkins funding is the national grant program that provides equipment, funding for programs, funding for new programs, and being a part of that is important because you can get things that a district can get things that normally you couldn't afford or you couldn't even begin to. You can align with industry a little bit easier because you're putting in equipment that is industry approved and industry used instead of maybe some equipment that's just kind of put in because it was convenient. In the past, we had industrial arts, industrial tech, technology education, and the state decided to follow the federal government's guidelines with CTE, Career and Technical Education. So if you're not licensed CTE, you don't qualify for that Perkins funding. And this is one way, this is the way to get that funding and to help build bigger, stronger programs that are industry aligned with industry standards. Part of being a CTE teacher is setting up advisory boards and working with local community members to make sure that your curriculum and your equipment is aligned with your local needs through a local needs assessment, which is what we cover in one of our classes. And these local needs assessments, because they're aligned directly to local industry, we become a pipeline to help our teachers prepare our students to meet the industry needs. And so that's where it's really a benefit to the school, the community, and even the state of Minnesota.
What about the benefit to the teacher candidates as far as how flexible the program is for them if they're already currently working or teaching already?
In creating this program, we wanted to have multiple pathways to licensure, and the state has come up with some already because for quite a while there wasn't a clear-cut pathway to a CTE licensure in Minnesota. There was a lot of confusion around it. Being the only four-year institution offering this program now at the undergraduate level, we have really tried to combine a bunch of these pathways and find the one that works best for the teacher candidate. That's why we offer these courses online, the CTE Core. So whether you're teaching on the other side of the state or right here in Bemidji, I mean, we offer these courses online to help to meet that need where they are, because obviously everybody can't drive all the way to Bemidji to take these courses. We have other things in place that allow students to take courses at the technical schools and transfer them in. So if you're down south of the cities and not near Bemidji, you'd still be able to develop some of the skills training that you would need to be a manufacturing instructor or a construction instructor and transfer that in, get your generals done, and be able to finish the education piece and the CTE component that's required by the state online. So we've tried to come up with every flexible possibility to help all future teachers and current teachers get the licensure needed.
So with that said, Peter, why would somebody choose this program over a general education program that does not have a CTE endorsement?
That's a good question. What does a CTE endorsement mean? Well, really that's where the school district can get a lot of funding. A lot of it comes through Perkins, and you have to have a CTE licensed teacher that's approved by the state of Minnesota to get that funding. They can even claim, right now I think it's 30% of the salary back to the district and use that money towards the program. And since the CTE programs are usually more expensive to run, this is a valuable piece to the district to get them licensed appropriately to CTE. Somebody coming in with the old tech ed license or an industrial arts license doesn't qualify for that. So it's definitely beneficial to the school district to have a fully licensed CTE endorsed teacher on staff. It's beneficial to the student that's looking to become a teacher because of that right there. They're more valuable to the school, they're cheaper, they're allowed, they bring in a certain aspect of funding that's nice to have that some areas just don't have. The CTE endorsement also really brings in, when you look at teaching, you look at industry, everybody's looking for quality leadership, and this leadership piece that goes along with becoming a CTE teacher, it's really an endorsement in their qualities to lead a program, to lead the CTE areas, and even to lead advisory boards and be effective leadership in the community. And so the CTE endorsement really shows that they've met the qualities to do that.
So Peter, what's your vision for the future of CTE at Bemidji State?
I just see that the Bemidji State University CTE program, teacher program is going to grow. It's going to be, I'll say, the top-notch example that maybe other schools will try to copy, but we have the ability here at BSU to offer the hands-on skilled part of it that other universities don't have the ability to do. And I think we can just fully develop the next generation of educators in CTE, whether it's an incoming kid or student from high school. We can get them through a lot of the training while they're still in high school, but then they'll be able to come here and get the hands-on piece in our labs, whether it's communication or construction right now, construction management, those kind of courses, or even in the future as we look to expand to manufacturing and transportation and just fill out this career wheel. We have the capability of doing that here. So I envision a future where every Minnesota CTE teacher is going to come to Bemidji, and they're going to come through that, accessing it as we continue to create pathways for easier accessibility. Because we're, pretty remote up here, the more we can incorporate online learning, whether it's distance learning, whether it's in the high schools or PSEO, or concurrent enrollment and different possibilities that come up. I really see us being a hub for the CTE teachers. As Bemidji State University becomes the central hub for CTE teachers, I look forward to providing many different pathways to teacher licensure, making the accessibility to these courses and the requirements easier through online learning, distance learning, and just different remote applications. We have the ability to become a pipeline for all areas of CTE, the manufacturing, the construction, communications, transportation, and other ones. So I look forward to providing those pathways as easy as possible. The future of CTE is bright. I think right now there's lots of emergency. They're doing little Band-Aids on things. How can we temporarily license people? How can we emergency license them because we have nobody doing this? At Bemidji, we have the opportunity to provide this pathway, and I look forward to the exciting different ways we can work with other colleges, universities, tech schools, high schools across the state to make these pathways easier, more accessible, and help everybody get the requirements for the state, for the federal funding, and through Minnesota, and even possibly beyond Minnesota.
And how many of these CTE programs that are at the undergraduate level are there across the state?
The CTE programs, if you go online, there's the career cluster, and Minnesota has 16 different pathways identified. But if you go in farther and you look at all the courses that you can possibly teach under those 16 career pathways, there's more classes and courses than we can count. What's nice about Bemidji is we were able to provide training for just about every area under the communications, the construction, the manufacturing, the CAD drafting, the SolidWorks, into the visual arts, the digital arts. It's just unlimited. And Bemidji State University has the tools and the classes and the equipment to provide teachers with the tools they'll need to be successful in any one of those areas.
Now, dual enrollment is a term used in education. And what does that mean for high school students across the state? And what does that mean for our program?
So one of the, I've been working in education for a long time. And especially with the Minnesota's North Star Promise, high school students are looking to get into college earlier and earlier. And really when you start looking at a schedule of these juniors and seniors, they have a lot of time that they're able to take these courses. So as dual enrollment, now all of a sudden they're getting credit for their high school progress along with ticking off their college aspirations, whether they want to become a teacher or they want to become something, construction management. There's lots of different pathways that we can get them involved in. So as these schools start to embrace this, which I'm seeing more and more schools turn to this, to dual enrollment, because parents love the idea of getting their kids into some college classes, and they get to experience what that college class is like. That's what the dual enrollment does. It's paid for by the schools, and they pick up credits as they go. So the parents aren't, it takes a little bit of the college cost out of it as they start earlier. It's a great hook to these students because they get to experience BSU at a younger level. They get to see the labs, they get to see it, especially as we tie more and more of our hands-on programming into digital learning. They can see the new equipment that we have and the different things that they can come and learn. And so that's really what this dual enrollment, a lot of schools call it PSEO, and many districts don't understand that PSEO and CTE, there's a whole CTE division under that's included in PSEO that's not maximized by very many colleges or high schools because nobody has done it. As I come into BSU and we open up these doors, it's just going to open up accessibility to all these students across the state. And so as more and more hear about it and we get that information out, they can sign up for these classes. And it doesn't have to be just a CTE core. It can be, really my vision for the whole thing is to get them hooked into all the different areas that we have to offer, whether it's design, whether it's program management, whether it's construction management. There's just lots of, we have lots to offer, and it's exciting to make those connections.
Yeah, that is exciting because whether you're a dual enrollment or a community member that is an expert in the field that's wanting to transition back as a teacher, this program is fully online. Am I right?
Yes. Yep.
And what does that look like for potential teacher candidates and the flexibility that this program will offer them to complete?
Education is changing, and how people take classes and do stuff and training is changing. Obviously, we have an entire internet and AI world that's creeping farther and farther into our training and how we do things. But it also opens the door for us to provide, I kind of joke about YouTube training. Everybody wants to learn something, they just watch a video on YouTube. Well, the ability as a university to expand and offer what we do in visual format to meet these, especially the students coming out of high school at their level, who've always had a computer or a phone in their hand, just opens up the door for more training opportunities. Even when I was teaching high school, and I had a lot of students that were participating in this kind of stuff, they would literally pull out their phones and do assignments in between waiting for machines to open up. So it's just a new way of accessibility to our information and the curriculum we provide. Nice.
So what about prior learning and credit for that prior learning? Say I'm a journeyman carpenter and I've been working in industry for 15 years. Does that mean I have to start from scratch, or is there an opportunity available to me to use my work experience and generate credit for prior learning?
So that's what credit for prior learning is, and it's kind of the explaining to people what the wording actually means. Even when I was teaching welding, a person coming from industry brings a lot of the skill set that needed to teach welding, and that's not the aspect that they need to improve on, like in the education areas or meet the CTE requirements. So credit for prior learning is when we sit down with them and we look at what their industry experience is, and we basically go down the standards and see what they've met. And we are able to provide credit for prior learning to pretty much any area that the CTE emphasis is that they're coming in with. So if you have a background in construction, you're going to meet the requirements of the state as a construction teacher. We go through and give you credit for prior learning on those, and then we plug in what you might be missing. So that way we meet all the state requirements while giving you the most experience that you would need. We also have the ability to offer you credit for prior learning for your education experience. A lot of these teachers have been 7, 8, 9, 10 years emergency licensed in the field. Well, we can sit down and give you some credit for prior learning for those courses because you've had 10 years, 8 years experience in that. And then there's some built-in standards that we have to make sure that we go in and help you cover. So the credit for prior learning experience is very valuable, especially for people coming from industry and ones that have been teaching all these years, and help them trim down some of the credits that they would have to earn for licensure.
Yeah, and let's talk about those emergency licensures that are taking place right now. You mentioned Perkins funding. And so why are these positions not only desirable for the teacher candidates, but the school districts themselves?
So yeah, it wasn't too long ago that you could just teach on an out-of-field position license forever. There was no limits, but as the state has changed legislation and requirements, now there's a limit. So you can only teach out-of-field position, I believe it's 5 years. And then you have to either have completed the work to get the license, or you cannot teach anymore. So there's a shift in the teachers that are currently out there teaching into, I got to get this license. And so that's where our program really comes in and helps them maintain that license and keep licensure so they can continue their Perkins funding and continue to maintain proper licensure with the state with having a highly qualified and approved teacher. And so that's really why a lot of these teachers all of a sudden were placed on a, they didn't really give much warning. And it was like, boom, you got a 5-year window to get licensed, and they've already extended that a couple times because there was no warning to it. And this way they can meet that need and that requirement by taking classes. They just have to be working towards it. And so that's really what's nice about our program is they can do a little at a time. It's not a 4-year cram then rush, 2-year cram then rush. You take classes when you can, and we continue on until we get them all wrapped up and concluded with a 4-year degree. One of the things I'll add is it's really valuable to these teachers to finish the 4-year degree and not just have an emergency license, as you can get at some of the other areas, because the longer you teach, you're going to build up your retirement based off of what you've accumulated, whether you go back and finish a master's and the credits you earned. And without the degree, you're limited on how far you can go. And so it's really valuable to these teachers and the district just to get that piece done as they build their future.
Yeah. So what about connecting to the workforce needs in our local communities, both directions for young people that are entering into their careers in these skilled trades, as well as the teachers that will be educating them?
So Minnesota is unique as they do not create CTE individual specific areas standards. So the state of Minnesota does not have a list of standards that construction students would learn and take and teach, that kind of stuff. Same with manufacturing. What they do is they rely on advisory boards. So in one of the classes I cover all the details about setting up advisory board, what they do. But your advisory board is your local leaders, your local industry. So you go around and you meet a couple times a year, but they're the ones that kind of focus and direct your curriculum. And so what it does is it opens up the door for your curriculum to meet industry needs. And whether it's preparing them to go to the tech school or the 4-year university, then to them, but that pathway is being created. So really, each one of these programs for each school is going to be unique because it kind of meets the needs to their area. And whether it's construction or manufacturing or communication, graphic arts, each one of these programs has to have an advisory board, and that's part of the Perkins Consortium rules. And what's really nice to do is to see how these all interconnect, and you can set up advisory boards that meet multiple needs and have a lot of people sit on them, but then all of a sudden now you basically have a community team of different industries providing you insight in how to set up your curriculum, and you're not out there on your own. It's really a teamwork aspect of it that builds this curriculum, and so that's where these relationships really provide value to your program, and now your community members are invested in your program, and it's really a handshake, I'll say, across the board, where it just one's feeding the next, and it's a nice pipeline to have.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up our conversation about Bemidji State's new CTE licensure program, what do you want potential candidates to know?
Really, I want people to know that if you're interested in being a teacher, there's a huge need for it, and there's multiple pathways, and we're here to work with you to find the best pathway, the easiest pathway, where we understand everybody's busy and there's different things going on, so we want people to get licensed the easiest way possible, meet the requirements, and continue teaching and doing what they enjoy doing.
Right. Well, thanks, Peter. It's been a great conversation, and I hope you have learned a lot about Bemidji State's new Career and Tech Ed program.